Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Faster Way podcast. My name is Haven Hennessey. I am sitting in for the Amanda Trust as your host today on today's Coach Confessional. And today, we want to talk about something, we want to bring awareness to the fact that it is October and it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Now, you might have heard in our intro that one of our missions here at the Faster Way to prevent disease and to fight cancer. And so we want to bring some attention to that today. And I have a very special guest with us, none other than Diedre Ferenc. Now, Diedre is a coach with the Faster Way, and we're very excited to hear her story. But first, let's talk about how you found the Faster Way, Diedre.
Okay. Well, thanks for having me. And I have been a client of the Faster Way for a little bit over 7 years.
Okay.
I have been a coach for almost 7 years, getting ready to celebrate my 7-year coaching anniversary.
Congratulations.
I first came to this program when I was turning 40.
Okay.
I just had always worked out. I was very active and into fitness my entire life. I thought I ate pretty well. But the closer I got to 40, things started to change. And what I used to do just seemed to quit working. So I had a girlfriend that was constantly just raving about this program. And as my 40th birthday gift to myself, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do it. I'm going to try this program. And by week 2, I was hooked.
Nice.
Like I was completely hooked. I started to feel better. I started to have more energy. I started to sleep better. I felt like my mood improved. And it just got better and better every single week.
Oh, wow.
And that was then why I decided to become a coach, because I was like, more women need this program.
Absolutely.
They don't need to be, working out like a crazy person and starving themselves. There really is a better way.
Absolutely. And I love that you said, in week 2, you knew you wanted to be a coach. And we find that to be true with so many of our clients that raise their hand when we say, hey, are you interested in the coaching opportunity? They're like, yes, I know this works. This is like you mentioned, nothing else has worked. And now I'm finding food freedom. I'm finding energy I never had. I'm finding my hormones are, leveling out. I'm getting sleep. I have energy. So all those things. And they're like, yes, I want to spread the word. I want to help other women. And that's what you've been doing.
It is. And it is the most rewarding thing I have ever done professionally. Yeah. I absolutely love it. I get excited to get up every day and be a coach and do my job. And it's just, an incredible company and community to be a part of. Thank you.
And now tell us just a little bit about your family. You are married to a doctor.
I am. Yeah. I am getting ready to celebrate my 20-year anniversary coming up in a couple months. My husband is a emergency medicine physician.
Okay. Yeah. And you have 2 kiddos.
2 kiddos, 2 teenagers, a sophomore and a senior, 2 golden doodles.
Okay.
And I live in Fort Lauderdale, so I'm just on the other side of the state from Faster Way HQ. Yep.
Okay. And well, we're so excited to have you here, like I mentioned, because this is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and you are a survivor. You are a survivor. And so I want to hear a little bit about that story and your journey through that, because I know it's going to touch some lives today.
Yeah. So I will start at the very beginning, because my breast cancer journey actually starts even prior to my diagnosis.
Okay.
So when I think I was around 37 years old, I was at my OBGYN for an annual checkup, and he said to me, Diedre, you have one grandmother that had breast cancer twice, and you have another grandmother that passed away from ovarian cancer. Why don't we do some genetic testing on you? Let's do a genetic panel and see if there might be a gene mutation in your history. And so I was like, okay, no problem. It was just, at the time, 1 vial of blood, super easy. Now they even do it by saliva. You don't even have to do blood. You can literally get a genetic panel off of saliva.
Yeah.
And so we did. And a few weeks later, he called me and he said, I need to talk to you. You carry a genetic mutation. Wow. You carry a gene called PALB2. And PALB2 puts you at an increased risk for breast cancer, ovarian cancer, and pancreatic cancer.
Oh, my goodness.
But the biggest component was breast cancer.
Right.
So that was the most concerning part of the gene. And at the time I was 37, I'd never had a mammogram. I wasn't doing self-exams yet. I wasn't even thinking about breast cancer. Sure. It wasn't on my radar. And he said, I don't really know what to do with you, so I'm going to send you to a breast oncologist. I think you should go meet with someone that specializes in this so that we know what the protocol is. Right. So I did. I went and I actually called a girlfriend who at the time was going through breast cancer and found out who her doctor was and went and saw this doctor. And she said, basically what's going to happen is you're going to start getting screened right now, and you're going to get a breast cancer screening every 6 months.
Wow.
So you're going to rotate between
that is so frequent.
Your screenings. Yep.
Okay.
And so the protocol was that I was going to do a mammogram and an ultrasound, and 6 months later an MRI, and then 6 months later a mammogram and ultrasound. And she said, you're going to start seeing me every year in addition to your OBGYN, and I'd like you to separate those visits by 6 months.
Okay.
And then she said, you also need to start doing your self-breast exams. And that was kind of how it started.
Okay.
And then 6 years later, I was at one of my routine visits with her, with the breast oncologist, and we were just chit-chatting, and she's doing my breast exam, and she goes, oh, I feel a lump. And she goes, oh, I feel another lump. And she took my fingers and she put them on the 2 spots, and she said, do you feel this? And I said, yes, I do. I mean, they were very palpable. Yeah. I could feel them very clearly. And she said, have you been doing your self-exams? And I said, no, I haven't. I did do them, but I honestly probably did them, no joke, like twice a year. Okay. I wasn't doing them monthly as I should be. Right. And she said, you know what, but we're not going to worry. She said 8 out of 10 lumps are not cancer. So we're going to go get your mammogram, go get your ultrasound, and we'll just go from there. You know, we're not going to worry. And I'm not the type of person that worries, so I didn't worry. I told my husband, but that was it. And I went in the next week. I got my mammogram and my ultrasound, and the ultrasound is what showed that there were 2 suspicious spots. They just didn't look great. And I have very dense breasts, so that is something that I also want to mention is, women who have dense breasts, they need to be getting that ultrasound in addition to their mammogram because mammograms, your breast tissue shows up white and cancer can show up white. So it's much harder to spot if you have it can camouflage on a mammogram if you have very dense breasts. Now, I am a proponent of mammograms. I will never speak down upon them. They have found so many women's cancer. But it was the ultrasound for me that did show that I had these 2 suspicious spots. So I went in the next week and had a biopsy done on both of the spots. And then 3 days later, I got the phone call from my doctor saying that I did, in fact, have breast cancer. Wow.
That's incredible. I mean, I am just thinking about myself right now, and you're right, how often I do that self-exam. It's not often enough. But where were you when you found this out?
I was sitting at my desk doing faster way work. I was literally sitting at my desk working. It was my OBGYN who called me, and he said, Diedre, I hate to have to tell you this, but you have breast cancer. And then everything went fuzzy. He was telling me the type of cancer, that I had invasive ductal carcinoma. I was trying to write it down. My hand was shaking. Sure. I couldn't even focus. And, it was just the worst phone call to get. Absolutely. And I was shocked because I was so healthy. I felt so good. I felt like I was in the best shape of my life. Yeah. So it was just so shocking to me that, I was being told that I had breast cancer. Even though I knew I had this gene, I never really focused on it. It wasn't something that I tried to dwell on.
Sure. And I think that's the right position to take, Wow. So you have this news. I mean, that's a valley. That's a deep valley. Yes. Yeah. And so tell us what the next steps now are after this news. What do you do?
So you kind of go into a whirlwind of, all sorts of appointments. Yeah. Ironically, we were actually leaving the very next day to go on our family spring break ski trip. Whoa. We were flying out the very next morning. And so I went to my husband. I said, what do we do? I spoke to the doctor, and the doctor was like, go on the trip. go and this can wait a week.
Yeah.
We can deal with all of this when you get back. You can schedule appointments from out there. That was a hard trip.
I can imagine.
Hardly slept. I cried a lot, but my kids were younger, so I didn't want my kids to see. I'd get up, at 4 a.m. and get on the computer and start Googling, which was probably the worst thing I ever could have done. And I would just cry and cry. But then by the time the family got up, I put on my big girl pants. I put a smile on my face.
Yeah.
I went out and skied every day. I loved to ski. So for me, I think that trip was probably the best thing that could have happened in those days. I made phone calls. I scheduled appointments so that, I could hit the ground running when I got back. Yep.
Yeah.
And right when I got back, I literally hit the ground running with different doctor's appointments, meeting with surgeons, meeting with oncologists, meeting with all sorts of different doctors that they want you to meet with after a diagnosis, and trying to figure out who my team was going to be and what my treatment plan was going to be. Because obviously there's different options that, women can take. And I elected to move forward with a bilateral mastectomy.
Wow.
So at the advice of my doctors, the fact that I carried that genetic mutation and that gave me a 40% risk of breast cancer, I didn't want to have to deal with that again.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yes.
So how soon after this diagnosis did you have surgery?
So just about a little over a month, right about a month after my diagnosis, I went in for my bilateral mastectomy. I opted to do reconstruction.
Okay.
So that's about a 5.5-hour surgery. And I had expanders put in because that was the route that I chose to go. And, after that, I just got to say, if it wasn't for the faster way, I don't know if I would have recovered as quickly as I did.
For sure.
It is a major surgery.
Yeah.
And I was just so surprised at how quickly I got my strength back, how quickly I got my stamina back. My doctors were surprised. They were like, I can't believe, you're up and walking and you're doing all these things. And, I took it easy.
Yeah.
But I just felt like I was in such good physical shape that it helped me recover from a major surgery so much better than I would have. And not even the physical strength, from the nutrition standpoint, I was eating so well and so clean. And, we talk about protein a lot in the faster way. Well, let me tell you what, protein doesn't just help with building muscles. It truly has healing powers. Yes. And I think that was also a factor in my recovery and healing so quickly, was that, I literally had all that protein on my side.
You were setting yourself up for success. Now, I want to take us back though, because you shared this with me, and I want our audience to hear this. So let's go back though to that day that you're at the hospital and you're about to get surgery. I can only imagine the fear, the anxiety, everything, and trying to find that peace. Tell us a little bit about what happened that day and how you were encouraged.
So when I walked into the pre-op area, to the bed that they were going to put me in, there was this mural painted on the wall right next to my pre-op bed. And it said, "You never know how strong you are until being strong is the only choice you have."
Wow.
And it was like a sense of calmness just came over me when I saw that mural. It just, something about it just brought me calmness. And I was like, you know what? I got this. I'm stronger than I know I am. I'm going to get through this. I have a great support system, a great family, great doctors. And that became my mantra. It truly became my mantra for my entire journey.
Yeah. It's just amazing to me, all the things that led up to this moment, like you mentioned, like the preparation and not even understanding that you were being prepared for this, and, if depending on your faith, what you believe, but I do believe God gave you that, to help you get through that moment. And
I believe it too. Yeah. And, we live in Florida, so I always like to use this analogy. We deal with hurricanes, right?
Yes.
And when a hurricane's coming, we know it's coming. We don't know exactly where it's going to hit. We don't know exactly when it's going to hit, but we have time to prepare.
Yeah.
Right? You have days that you can do what you need to do to get prepared, get your house prepared, secured, vehicles. I look at my cancer journey in that same way. I knew I had an increased risk of cancer. I didn't know if and when it was going to happen to me, but I truly had years to prepare for it, to be ready for it, to be strong, to be healthy, to be well-fueled. And that is kind of how I look at our health, is that unfortunately, many people are going to get a cancer diagnosis in their life. 1 in 8 women are going to be diagnosed with breast cancer in their lifetime. That is a pretty significant number. It is the highest cancer that women are being diagnosed with. I don't like to use the word most popular, but it is the number one cancer diagnosis. And so I feel that we have to be ready for whatever life is going to throw at us. We don't know what's going to happen or when, but if we're strong, if we're healthy, if we're taking care of ourselves, we're going to be better prepared for it.
Oh my goodness, Diedre. This is, it's inspiring. Because like you mentioned, we don't need to walk around with this cloud of fear. That's, yes, a staggering statistic, but we don't want to walk around with this like, am I the 1 in 8? But at the same time, there are things that we can be doing right now to help us, if we are diagnosed, to set us up for success, to come out of it with success and with more strength and with more health. And so I'm just so glad you're here sharing this story, because I want us to approach our health and wellness with some gravity, with some seriousness, because this goes beyond the aesthetics. It goes beyond, I just want to look good in a bathing suit. We're talking about this body that we've been giving, stewarding it well and giving it what it needs, nutrients, all the vitamins and minerals that we find in whole foods, the protein. I mean, we are so underfed in protein that we really need to find that balance of bringing more protein into our lives to give us the muscle to sustain our metabolism, to sustain our strength, which ultimately carries over into being able to lift weights and work out and climb stairs and get off the floor. All of this together is synergistic to really help us set us up for success for whatever life may bring us, And so, man, Diedre, I just could hear you talk all day because it is inspiring. So let's just, fast forward a little bit. So you've gone through surgery, you're recovered. Did you go through chemo?
I did. About a month after my surgery, they send away everything that they take out for pathology. And we thought that I was going to be surgery and I was going to be done. I mean, that was my thought. That was my doctor's thought. That was what we thought. And then we got the call that I got the call that the pathology was not as good as they expected.
Okay.
And they kind of give your tumors a grade. Yeah. And it came back that I should have chemotherapy, that to reduce my risk of a reoccurrence, I needed to have chemotherapy. They give you a score. It's called an oncotype. And my onco score was higher, which meant my chance of reoccurrence was higher than they liked.
Wow.
So I moved forward with getting chemotherapy. I had to get 4 chemo treatments staggered over 3 weeks. So every 3 weeks I would go in through a treatment. And again, the faster way truly was my lifeline during that. I mean, I worked out the entire time.
Wow.
I just feel like knowing how to fuel my body with whole foods and, like you said, getting those vitamins and minerals, and whole foods reduce inflammation. And so you want to get that inflammation down in your body. I mean, don't get me wrong. I had my days after treatment where I would lay on the couch and hardly able to move because I had those moments. But overall, my doctor was like, you're probably only going to be able to keep up with about 80% of your lifestyle during treatment. I would say I was at 95%.
Wow.
And again, my lifestyle played a role in that. Yeah. So it helped.
And also, talk a little bit about the community, the Faster Weight community. I mean, we are here for health and, fitness and, nutrition, but there is a very large community aspect to this program. Did that play a role in your recovery?
A huge role. I mean, the night of my mastectomy, I actually watched a video of you and Amanda and some of the trainers that you guys texted me, and my husband's like, look at this video you got, and you all were wishing me well. Yeah. I mean, I got gifts from other coaches. I got phone calls. I got flowers. I mean, the community is like none other in the Faster Way. Agreed. It's still to this day. I mean, my coach friends are my best friends. Yes. So knowing that you have this community that's uplifting you is truly incredible. It really does help. Wow. And it was so, I just felt supported during my entire journey.
Well, we love you so much. So you've had the surgery, you've gone through chemo, and now what happens after that?
So I did I guess it was about 3 months of chemo, and then it was, time to heal, right? Yeah. Time to truly recover. So I was able to just get back to, the fundamentals of the Faster Way, the strategies that we use, eating right, exercising to build strength, to gain muscle. I did have my reconstruction surgery about a month after I finished chemo. So that was like a drop in the bucket compared to my mastectomy. That was like easy peasy. So I had my reconstruction surgery, and then, I had to take it a little easy for a little bit of time. Yeah. Thank goodness for those booty bands, because let me tell you what, when I couldn't use my upper body, I was using that booty band on a daily basis. Yes. And, every month I just felt myself getting stronger again and getting back to it. And, chemo's hard on the body. It really is. It definitely is. I did gain weight. You're on a lot of steroids and, that kind of can mess with things. Yeah. But I took off that weight within a matter of months, thanks to the Faster Way and getting back to the basics with, our fundamentals. Yeah. And, I would say that about 3 to 4 months after I finished chemo is when I really started to kind of feel like myself again, even more so at the 6-month mark. Yeah. And now here I am, a 3-year survivor, and I just feel like I'm back to being my strongest, healthiest self, even at 47 years old.
Oh my gosh. That is so true. You actually came in today and filmed a workout with us. Yes. And that's going to air on the 13th. And yes, you are so strong. I mean, I was just watching you. Your muscles were just popping, and the strength, the stamina that you had, the endurance you had. You filmed a HIIT workout with us, and it was so inspiring. And, I am just truly inspired by your story. And I know our community is too, that, first of all, you can set yourself up for success if you are, God forbid, given this type of a diagnosis or any diagnosis for them, and also just, again, that awareness for us women around breast cancer and the importance of those self-exams. You're inspiring me right now. I need to do it more often. Get an ultrasound, do those things. But I also want to go back to something you mentioned earlier. You talked about a genetic test that you had. So tell us a little bit about that, because I know you're passionate about kind of spreading awareness around that too.
Knowledge is power. Yeah. And whether there's a family history of cancer in your family or not, genetic testing is a tool that we have at our disposal these days. And I just think everyone should get a genetic panel done, because if you do find out that you carry a gene, that then allows you to be more proactive. For me, it was 6-month screenings instead of 1-year screenings. Yeah. And thank goodness I was getting those. It allows you to take certain measures to protect your health. Yeah. I mean, I mentioned my gene, the PALB2, carries an increased risk of breast, ovarian, and pancreatic. So 2 years ago, I actually opted to have a complete hysterectomy. Oh, okay. And remove my ovaries. I went complete because I was done having babies. Yes. So it was like, I don't need anything else. Right. And that was a hard decision, because obviously I was going to be thrown into menopause, at 45 years old. Oh, wow. I would think I was actually 44 at the time. But I wanted to take that proactive step, and knowing that I carried this PALB2 gene and knowing that my body knew how to grow cancer since I had the breast cancer, for me, I thought it was the best step. So I decided to have that complete hysterectomy. But again, menopause is not easy, and the Faster Way truly is helping me navigate all of the side effects,
Yeah.
For lack of a better word, that come with menopause.
Yeah.
I truly feel that I have a really decent lifestyle. I'm not going to say I don't ever have a hot flash or,
Right.
you know, different things, but it's
let's
helping.
talk, truth here. You're right. Like, we're not going to necessarily not experience menopause, but we're talking about mitigating, some of the severity, we'll say, of some of these symptoms, like the hot flashes, the weight gain, all those things. And I can say truly, like, I have watched you, really succeed through this time. I know that you're pretty open book on social media and with fellow coaches. And, you're not talking about, oh my goodness, I don't know what to do about this. My hormones are all over the place, and all these symptoms. I mean, to your point, you have them, but they're not that severe, and they're far and few between. So that's what the Fast Away has done for you, is really help you mitigate those.
It's so true.
Yeah.
I mean, your lifestyle matters.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
And, you were talking about health and how important it is. I always say that you cannot look at your health as an expense. You have to look at your health as an investment. Amen. Because it truly is an investment. And it's one that always has an ROI. Yeah. So why wouldn't you want to invest in it?
Best stock to invest in is your health. Yes. For sure. Oh my goodness. Well, here at the Fast Away community, we are on this mission to help prevent disease and fight cancer. And our part in that, especially in this month of October, is that our VIP community is going to participate in a sugar detox. Talk to us a little bit about your thoughts on sugar and how that affects, a diagnosis like cancer, or even, helping to fight cancer.
Well, I can tell you, when you get diagnosed with cancer, one of the people you have to meet with is a nutritionist. They make you meet with a nutritionist. And I remember this nutritionist, she's like, how do you eat? Tell me how you eat. And I was like spouting off, and she was like, I don't think I need to meet with you. I don't really even know what to say to you because you are like, you know what you're doing.
Right.
But there's a lot of misinformation out there. A lot of people say, oh, sugar feeds cancer. Well, the truth is, sugar feeds inflammation.
Yes.
The more sugar, especially processed sugar, I'm not talking about your apples and your bananas and your sweet potatoes. I'm talking about your processed sugars. That feeds inflammation. And when you have an inflamed body, it is truly a safe haven for cancer to grow. Oh my. So you want to bring inflammation down in your body. And the best way to do that is whole foods, foods that came from the ground or once had a mother, staying away from processed foods. So I love the sugar detox.
Yes, me too.
It is truly amazing if you start looking at labels, how many foods on our shelves in the grocery store they sneak sugar into that you would not expect.
Yeah. They use it as a preservative. And of course, I've also heard that it, helps make food look better. We've talked about sugar being in like the hamburger buns, especially at McDonald's and things like that. It gives them this like nice sheen and of course this taste that makes you want it and crave it more. And so there's this ripple effect. So yes, in the Fast Away, we are going to participate in a sugar detox over 10 days. We are going to learn a lot about the effects, like you mentioned, of sugar, inflammation being one of them. However, when we think of inflammation, if you don't know much about it, you're thinking poofiness, right? Oh yeah, my eyes are poofy, my, hands are swollen, things like that. But inflammation can actually be very internal, and you don't necessarily see it, but it's there and it's internal. And that is the more dangerous type of inflammation that you're speaking to that feeds into that cancer.
Yeah.
So, we would love for you to join us. If you're in the Fast Away VIP community, you're going to get information on that very soon. And we're going to do this as a community. We're going to fight cancer as a community. We cannot wait for you to feel that success, thriving through it. Now, I'm not going to say it's the easiest thing to do. Like you mentioned, sugar is kind of everywhere. It's in a lot of things. But the more you know, the more you know, the more power you have to take your health and wellness into your hands and have some control over that and be the driver, be in the driver's seat of where your health and wellness goes.
It's true.
Yeah.
And, it might be hard the first few days, but you're going to feel so good after those first few days. I love doing the sugar detox, and, to take a play out of my husband's book, it's not just our foods that they put sugar in, your toothpaste, your mouthwash. You need to look at those ingredients as well, because they're even putting artificial sugars into our toothpaste and mouthwash and things that you're using on a daily basis, twice a day.
Yeah.
Oh
my goodness. Well, we are going to be equipping you. We are going to be setting you up for success to, again, see where those sugars are, feel the success of detoxing from sugar, and really ultimately helping you feel in control and reduce those cravings moving into the holidays. They're right around the corner, Diedre. Thanksgiving, Halloween, I guess I said those in the wrong order. Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas, New Year's, it's all going to come at us very quickly. But man, we can have so much control and feel really empowered going into these holidays by doing this simple step of, taking out sugar from our diet and feeling some success in reducing that inflammation and feeling in control. So I love it. Love it. Thank you so much for joining us today. I am inspired. I hope you are as well. If anything you get from this, please, as a woman, do your self-breast exam, get the mammogram, get the ultrasound. I need to go set my appointment right now, but be inspired by Diedre. She is an inspiration, and we're so grateful for you, Diedre.
Thank you so much.
All right. We'll see you next time.
Bye.